Now, page 9, so let's flip ahead. All of this is about the level of monitoring. So we understand our customers because there's a requirement that we monitor them over time. Remember what I said, customer due diligence isn't one and done like CIP. This is something that goes on through the life of your relationship with all of your customers. And so you're going to go through, and the whole point of this monitoring is to look out for suspicious activity, something that just doesn't make sense for what you know about that customer. Remember, you know about the customer because of their customer risk profile. And now you're monitoring and looking for things that are unusual. And that's what this monitoring process is for. And the whole point is to maintain and update information over time. And that's where you have a vital role in this process. Since you're on the front lines, you may learn things about a customer that is different, or maybe there's a change. And if it's something significant, you may need to raise your hand and say, you know what, this may be time to update that customer's risk profile. So maintaining and updating that customer information. Flip to page 10. There's also a requirement that you update or the beneficial owner information, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But what are you supposed to be looking for? And so look at letter D on page 10. What are the factors that might lead to changing that customer risk profile and say, hey, you know what, we may need to treat this customer a little different. Number one, significant and unexplained changes in activity. So somebody goes from, maybe having only a little bit of cash coming in every once in a while to all of a sudden, in the course of a month, they just start bringing in tons of cash. And and you ask them questions about, okay, what's this money for? And they don't really have an answer for you, or maybe they're being a little cagey on what exactly it's about, or their answers don't make sense. So you have this unexplained sudden change in their activity. Or maybe it could be going out of the account. Instead of cash coming in, maybe money's coming in, but all of a sudden they start having, a lot of international wires. They're sending money out to another country, and that doesn't make sense. And you ask questions, and it just doesn't sit right. So that could be an unexplained change in account activity that might require you to do some follow-up, or to raise your hand and say, you know what, this doesn't make sense. It could be change in employment, or their business operation. My example before about the bakery, that was a bakery yesterday, but then all of a sudden the law changes and now they're a marijuana dispensary. That's a change in their business model that could increase the level of monitoring. Changes in the ownership of the business entity. So this entity customer that you're used to dealing with, suddenly it's all different people that own it and operate it. That's a significant change. Other red flags that pop up, maybe you have internal monitoring, or maybe you pull a consumer report and there's red flags that pop up. Letter 5, that's a pretty easy one. If the cops come in and knock on the door and want to ask you questions about a certain customer, that doesn't happen very often. Usually they send in a subpoena or something, but that could be a trigger. If you look in the newspaper and you see something about a customer that looks like they might be involved in something a little shady, that's number 6. And then it could be number 7, just a length of time. You haven't followed up with that customer in a lot of years, so you're going to ask for additional information or just update their information over time. And what you're looking for, flip to page 11, is what types of activities should be a red flag. Maybe you have a reluctant customer, so a customer who doesn't want to provide you documents or give you information when you ask them things, or maybe inconsistent activity. They say they're going to do something, or they say that they're going to transact a certain way, and then they start doing something completely different. If they apply for a loan and they can't tell you what the loan is for, or their story doesn't really check out, that could be a problem. So all this list 1 through 6, those are just some examples. That's not all inclusive. It's just looking out for things that just don't seem right for that customer. And letter F, that's the key here. Ask the tough questions and then document what you find out. So if something doesn't make sense, follow up, feel empowered. You're on the front lines. You guys, the front lines are the most important part of this process in a lot of cases, because you're the one who actually looks in the eyes of the people that you're dealing with. And if something doesn't sit right for you, you're a professional, trust your gut. Follow up with questions. And if something doesn't come up or you can't get all the facts, that's when you may need to raise it up to your BSA department and let them know something just isn't quite right here.